Ever feel like, you're just kind of stuck, like on a treadmill, just going through the motions day after day? Like spreadsheets and commutes can't be all there is, right?
You're definitely not alone in feeling that way.
There's got to be more to life, right?
Absolutely. And that search for something more is what led us to this deep dive.
This deep dive on, what is it again?
Ikigai.
Ikigai. Right. That Japanese secret to a long and happy life we've all heard whispers about.
Exactly. It's not just some passing fad, Ikigai. It's deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, especially in a place called Okinawa.
Okinawa, isn't that the island where, like, everyone's a centenarian?
Pretty much. Okinawa is one of the world's blue zones.
Blue zones, what are those? Some secret society.
Think of them as longevity hotspots, places around the world where people live significantly longer and healthier, might I add.
Okay, so it's not just about living longer, but living better.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, it's not all about genetics. It's about lifestyle. And that's what's so exciting. These people are doing something right, and we get to peek into their world through the book we're diving into today.
Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. Let's unlock some of those secrets. What's the first step?
Well, it all starts with understanding this word, this idea, ikigai. It doesn't quite translate directly into English, but it's like, imagine the sweet spot, the place where your passions, your skills, what the world needs, and yes, what you can actually get paid for, where all those things intersect. That's the heart of ikigai.
So it's like your own personal compass, except instead of pointing north, it points to a life that feels truly, like, aligned, fulfilling. I'm in. But honestly, that's a lot of boxes to check. Passions, skills, world needs, getting paid for it. How do we even begin to find that sweet spot?
It might seem like a lot, yeah, but that's where the deep dive comes in.
Okay, so walk us through this. How do we even start to figure out our own personal ikigai?
The book breaks down these elements. It shows how they can all weave together to create a life of purpose and, get this, longevity.
So it's like good for the soul and the body.
Exactly. It's about waking up excited for the day, not just for the next vacation.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. But let's get practical. How do the Okinawans actually live this ikigai? They must have some daily rituals or habits that keep them going strong for so long.
They absolutely do. And one that really jumped out is harahachibu.
Harahachibu sounds intense.
It's actually quite simple. It means eating until you're about 80% full.
Hold on. 80%? That's like stopping mid-bag of chips. How is that even possible?
It took practice, for sure. But the science behind it is pretty fascinating. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to actually register that you're full.
20 minutes. So I've already inhaled 3 slices of pizza before my brain even realizes what's happening.
Pretty much. But by slowing down, being present while you eat, and stopping at that 80% mark, you're giving your body a chance to catch up. And that can be a game changer for preventing overeating, promoting better digestion, all sorts of benefits.
Huh. So you're saying there's hope for us Clean Plate Club members yet?
Absolutely. It's about tuning in, paying attention to those subtle cues your body's sending you.
Interesting. So by simply changing how we eat, we could be adding years to our lives. I'm starting to see how these seemingly small practices might actually add up to something much bigger. Okay, so mindful eating, check. What else have these Okinawan centenarians figured out? What other secrets are they hiding?
Well, this next one really resonated with me. It's the concept of flow.
Flow, like going with the flow.
Kind of, but it's more about that feeling of being completely absorbed in something. Like when you're so engrossed in an activity that you totally lose track of time.
Oh yeah, like when I'm writing. I get so into it that hours just disappear. It's like I blink and suddenly it's 3 in the morning.
Exactly. And the book actually dives into the research of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He's like the leading expert on this whole flow state.
So how do we get more of this flow in our lives? Is there a secret formula or something?
Well, the book outlines 7 conditions that are key to achieving flow.
7. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me everything.
All right, so the first 3 are all about clarity and focus. It's knowing what you're doing, how to do it, and how well you're doing. Like having a clear goal in mind and a sense that you've got the skills to handle it. The next condition is knowing where to go, having like a roadmap for whatever you're doing. Then there's the challenge itself. There needs to be a challenge, something that stretches your abilities without like completely overwhelming you.
So it's finding that sweet spot.
Right.
Where it's not too easy, not too hard.
Exactly. Too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get frustrated. But that sweet spot, that's where the magic happens.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what are the last 2 conditions?
Well, number 6 is about believing in yourself. You have to feel capable of meeting the challenge, like you've got to trust your skills. And finally, minimizing distractions, which, let's be honest, is easier said than done these days.
Yeah, tell me about it. My phone is like a magnet for my attention,
Yeah.
always buzzing with notifications.
And that's exactly what the book is getting at, that constant multitasking, that always on, always connected lifestyle. It's a recipe for distraction. And distraction is the enemy of flow.
So all those times I'm trying to write, but then I get sucked into scrolling through social media, those are flow killers.
Big time. The book even mentioned a study about this. Students who multitasked regularly, they really struggle to focus, even on simple tasks. Our brains just aren't wired for it.
Wow, so multitasking is actually making us less productive.
It can. We might feel like we're getting more done, but in reality, we're just spreading ourselves thin.
Okay, so mindful eating, finding our flow, it's all about being intentional, present in the moment. But how does this all tie back to finding our ikigai, that reason for being?
Well, that's where the book takes us to Japan to explore the concept of takumi.
Ikumi, what's that?
Takumi are basically master artisans. They're the people who dedicate their lives to perfecting their craft. Like swordsmiths, potters, those who create things with such skill and precision. It's not just a job for them, it's their life.
I'm picturing those serene workshops, like
Even-
filled with natural light, every movement so deliberate.
Exactly. The book actually talks about this one Kumano brush maker. She makes calligraphy brushes all by hand, and they describe her workshop bathed in natural light, where she works with this incredible focus and precision. It's been passed down for generations.
Wow. It's like their work is a form of meditation. Their ikigai is woven into everything they do.
And here's something interesting. This dedication to craftsmanship, it's not just an ancient practice. It's influenced modern innovators like, for example, Steve Jobs.
Oh, absolutely. Remember his obsession with simplicity, those sleek Apple designs.
Exactly. Jobs, he was all about what he called sophisticated simplicity, creating things that were both functional and beautiful, and he saw that in Japanese artisans.
Interesting. So how do we tap into that? It's not like we can all become master swordsmiths overnight.
You don't have to be a master craftsperson, but you can find activities where you naturally fall into that flow state, you know. What are those things for you? Maybe it's gardening, writing, playing music, having a really engaging conversation.
So it's about finding those moments and treating them with intention, with care.
Exactly. But life isn't all about smooth sailing and flow states, is it? Sometimes we hit rough waters, we face challenges, setbacks.
That's for sure. So how do we deal with those? Does Ikigai have any wisdom to offer when things get tough?
It absolutely does. And that's where the book introduces another fascinating concept, anti-fragility.
Anti-fragility. Okay, I'll admit that sounds a little intimidating, like something out of a superhero movie.
It's not as complicated as it sounds. Think of it this way. Imagine something that doesn't just withstand shocks and stress, but actually gets stronger because of them.
So not just bouncing back, but bouncing back better, like leveling up after a boss fight.
Exactly. It's like, working out a muscle. The more you push it, the stronger it gets.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal, but how do we actually cultivate this anti-fragility? Is there a secret handshake or a special protein shake involved?
No secret handshakes required. The book talks about how we can apply this idea to all areas of life, our finances, relationships, even our own emotional resilience.
So instead of freaking out over a financial setback, an anti-fragile approach might be to diversify income, explore side hustles.
Exactly. And in relationships, maybe it's having those tough conversations, the ones that feel scary, but ultimately make the bond stronger.
Interesting. So it's about leaning into challenges, seeing them as opportunities for growth.
Precisely. And the book actually gives some practical steps for becoming more anti-fragile, like building redundancies into different areas of your life.
Redundancies, so like having a backup plan, a plan B.
Exactly. And being smart about risks. Maybe you're more conservative in some areas, but then you're willing to take calculated risks in others.
So knowing when to play it safe and when to go for it.
Exactly. And here's a big one. Identifying and shedding the things that make you fragile.
So those things that hold us back, our fears, insecurities.
It's about recognizing what drains your energy and what fuels you.
This is all connecting back to Ikigai, isn't it? If we're living a life that feels meaningful, aligned with our purpose, wouldn't that make us more resilient to challenges?
Absolutely. When you're connected to your Ikigai, setbacks don't feel like the end of the world. They're just course corrections. You've got that inner compass, that drive that keeps you moving forward.
This is also fascinating. It's like we're getting a whole new perspective on what it means to truly live, not just go through the motions, but really embrace life with all its ups and downs.
That's the beauty of it. And speaking of beauty, the book ends on a really poetic note. It explores the work of Mitsuo Ida.
Mitsuo Aida, remind me who that is again?
He was this master calligrapher and a renowned haiku poet. He had this incredible ability to capture these profound truths in just a few words.
And they include some of his haikus in the book.
They do. There's one that really stood out to me. It says, "Happiness is always determined by your heart." Simple, but so powerful.
It reminds me of that quote, "It is what it is." Like our experience of the world really comes down to our perception.
Exactly. And this one really resonated with me. Keep going. Don't change your path.
It's like a mantra for staying true to ourselves, to our ikigai, even when things get tough.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? Aida's calligraphy itself reflects this idea. Each stroke is so fleeting, so impermanent, yet it's made with such intention, such meaning.
It's like that Japanese aesthetic, what's it called? Wabi-sabi.
Yes, finding the beauty in imperfection, in impermanence. And it connects to that Okinawan concept of ichigo ichi, treasuring each moment as unique and fleeting.
So appreciating the little things,
Yeah.
the everyday moments that make up a life.
Exactly. It's about savoring those moments of connection, those experiences that make life rich and meaningful, even amidst the challenges, even knowing that nothing lasts forever.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into ikigai,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway? What can we carry with us?
I think it's this. If our lives are like Mitsuo Ida's calligraphy, beautiful, constantly evolving, but ultimately impermanent, how can we approach each day, each moment with that same sense of intention, of meaning, of appreciation?
It's a powerful question. And a beautiful note to end on. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep seeking, and keep living a life that lights you up from within.